Behringer Model D, the Oscillator 3, has some special powers that are worth digging a little deeper into. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Evening all. Tonight we're going to look at the Model D again, but specifically, we're going to be looking a bit deeper into Oscillator 3 because it has some special powers that are sort of quite interesting. The first thing to say is perfectly good oscillator on its own right. So let's set it to down to triangle wave. Nice. Let's set it. Next wave shape is sawtooth. Lovely, rippy sound. And then the next one is the kind of ramping sawtooth. Lovely. And then the next, I think, on all three of the oscillators, the next wave shapes just appear to be kind of different flavors of square wave. I need to look in the manual about what they're doing here, but I think they're just basically, instead of doing any kind of pulse width modulation, they're just giving us three flavors of square wave. But I will check that in the manual. Tuning's fine. I don't know whether I've given out the full 15 minutes warm-up time, so if there's a bit of tuning, that could be that. So basically, Oscillator 3, perfectly good oscillator on its own. Yeah, and we can do the usual stuff like we can add in some noise. Bit more noise. And we can add in the other three oscillators. Just go mad. And just set the octaves and the wave shapes, I don't know, just randomly. Great. So Oscillator 3, perfectly good. I'm just going to turn those off. Perfectly good oscillator of it on its own. So the first superpower that Oscillator 3 has is this switch here, next door to the octave setting, and essentially when it's switched on, I guess it's like just like behaving normally. However, if you switch it down to this position, it basically just plays an A440. Is it A? Which A? It plays a flavor of A. So I'm going to hold. I'm hitting a C. It's a C5, C6, C7. So it doesn't matter what note you play on the keyboard or your sequencer, it'll just give you an A. Not sure why. I guess it's like tuning the other oscillators, so maybe that is kind of useful. Although remember that it does have this, that kind of test tone as well. But what that means is I can then, let's put the volume of oscillator 2 on, make sure that's, so I can then basically, okay, hang on, let's just hear it. So oscillator 3 on its own, kind of switched off. Let's mix in oscillator 2. Basically you can get a drone effect. I wouldn't say it's fully as like duophonic. I mean, it kind of is, but as long as you want just a root A playing, but you know. So that's superpower number 1. Okay, the second superpower Oscillator 3 has is, so yeah, we're hearing it. Yeah. So we're just hearing Oscillator 3. So we can actually go down the octaves, basically, essentially LFO rates, right? And then over in the controller section, then we can select, we're going to use Oscillator 3 with this button. So the options are Oscillator 3 or filter envelope generator. And then we can, this mod mix here is a mix between Oscillator 3 stroke filter envelope and noise stroke LFO. And then we have another switch here, which is noise as the modulation source, or LFO. And then we have an LFO rate and a mod depth. A little confusing, but so if we just, so we're not hearing, yeah, actually, well, we are hearing Oscillator 3, so we can actually turn that volume down and then turn Oscillator 2 up. There we go. And then if we've got Oscillator 3 selected over in the controller section, I think what's happening there is basically Oscillator 3 is basically essentially working as an LFO. So obviously we can select different wave types for that LFO. Because I've got, yeah. We're kind of in Doctor Who territory here, aren't we? Anyway, that's essentially the second superpower that Oscillator 3 has. Some people, when they're sort of they're looking at LFOs, they sort of say, "Oh, can the LFO go into audio rates?" Right, so you're going from a very low sort of oscillation to sort of something that oscillates fast enough for it to be a sort of tone. I think the principle here is that Oscillator 3 goes down into LFO rates. I think that's what's going on here. But yeah, I don't know. To my mind, the controller section is a little bit sort of confusing. It doesn't look like it looks nothing like the oscillator on the neutron, for example. Sorry, the LFO section on the neutron. So I think it's just a different way of sort of implementing the LFO. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. What they did with that, with sort of, you know, what they did with the Oscillator 3 there. Thought that deserved a video of its own right. Definitely something for me to dig into a bit more. Anyway, any questions, put them down below. I almost certainly won't be able to answer them. All right, take care, folks. See ya.